Coming up, see what it's like to fly the 210 horsepower King Cub, and we take a look at the flight deck of the future.
Plus a new personal eVTOL, and see what stall drag is like from inside the airplane. AOPA Live this week begins in just a moment.
This is AOPA Live This Week with Tom Haines and Alyssa Cobb.
The Classic Cub has to be one of the favorite airplanes of all time. There really isn't anything like flying a Cub low and slow on a beautiful day.
That's right, and over the years there have been a lot of Cub clones and Cub improvements introduced. AOPA Editor-at-Large Dave Hirschman shows us the King Cub.
It's as true of airplanes as it is of hot rods. There's no replacement for displacement and no substitute for horsepower. In thrust, we trust. The King Cub is pilot and craftsman Danny White's idea of the perfect Super Cub. The iconic PA-18 began its quest for world domination with a tiny 105 horsepower engine. Then Piper engineers boosted the power to 135 horsepower, then 150, 160, and finally 180. For White, however, that's not quite enough. He was the first to install a 210 horsepower Lycoming IO390 and an MT constant speed prop on his version and called it the King Cub.
It's got more performance than any Cub I've ever seen or been in.
And give me some helpful hints for flying it. What should I expect?
Just like any other Cub. Boost pump on for takeoff and landings, and the prop is all the only difference. Other than that, it flies like a Cub.
We're up in about 500 feet.
Yeah, 500 feet. We're pretty heavy with full tanks of gas, almost, and you and me.
Right. Oh, it's smooth.
Yeah, the
engine and prop are really smooth.
Yeah, that's the thing about that engine. You know, it's got counterweighted cranks, so it's way smoother than the other ones.
We're doing 100 miles an hour. It's already faster than I'm used to in a float Super Cub.
Yeah.
Just gonna maneuver a little bit and just get the feel of the control harmony.
I'd say it flies like any other Cub I've ever been in. We're up.
And we got 2 notches of flaps, and we're just gonna go fly over the windsock. Okay, 55, 54. Lots of good elevator authority at the low speed.
Yeah.
Okay, full back stick and idle power.
Yeah, it's not like it's nose heavy, so you don't have enough elevator.
Yeah, you know, I was anticipating that it might be. Wow, that was really impressive.
The King Cub is well balanced and responsive, and it climbs like a mountain goat. Other manufacturers seem to agree. Cub Crafters, for example, is using the IO390 on its top-of-the-line NX Cub, and others are sure to follow. Expect the engine arms race among backcountry airplanes to continue. Dave Hirschman, AOPA Live.
Well, for those of you who are drooling after that, you can get the King Cub upgrade from HO Aircraft. The company also offers a number of other upgrades for Cubs, as well as other airplanes.
There are now more fuel options for some Cessna pilots. The company just announced that Lycoming-powered 172s and 182s can use reduced lead avgas. They can now take 91-octane unleaded, 94 unleaded, or 100 very low lead. The Cessna 206 can also take 100 very low lead. The fuel is compatible with new and legacy airplanes. The change comes after Lycoming completed many tests with the fuels. To fly with them, you'll need to complete a Cessna service bulletin to install new fuel placards on the airplane, which must be purchased from Cessna. So, Alyssa, while this sounds like kind of an interesting new development, it's kind of like unobtainium in that those fuels simply are not available at most airports. And really where we ought to be focusing our attention is getting a 100-octane unleaded fuel not only produced and tested, but then also into the supply chain. So it seems like we need to reprioritize there a little bit.
Yeah, get the fuel out there for sure. Well, yet another honor for Brigadier General Charles McGee. Several organizations volunteered their aircraft to give General McGee a lift from Maryland to Los Angeles to receive the Reagan Distinguished American Award. The award honors Americans who have demonstrated extraordinary qualities of leadership and devotion to the values that have sustained the United States. General McGee was one of the original Tuskegee Airmen in World War II and continued with a distinguished career in the U.S. Air Force, including combat tours in Korea and Vietnam. He's the 26th recipient of the Reagan Award from the Jonathan Club. Previous honorees have included Neil Armstrong and General Chuck Yeager. Now, during the trip west to the West Coast, General McGee also had the opportunity to greet some T-6 and T-38 Air Force student pilots and instructors. The General turns 102 next month. Well, congratulations, General McGee. Now, two notable aviation pioneers are getting an honor that's literally out of this world. Bessie Coleman was the first Black female American to earn a pilot's license, Sally Ride, the first American woman in space. And now both are being honored by having landmarks on, get this, Pluto named after them. The International Astronomical Union recently approved the names Coleman Mons and Ride Rupes for two large geological features on the southern hemisphere of Pluto. The features were mapped by NASA's New Horizons flyby of the planet, or dwarf planet, but we're not going to take a stand on that argument.
Yeah, good thing. IoT, that's the Internet of Things, a world of devices everywhere connected together over the Internet. And that's the future that Honeywell envisions for aviation, too. We saw the Anthem flight deck demonstrated a few weeks ago at the NBAA convention in Las Vegas. This week, we take a closer look at what might be coming to your cockpit, regardless of the size of the aircraft you fly.
We needed to focus on connected. So instead of the connectivity we're all used to where you have to walk up to the airplane with the iPad and connect it, instead we're doing that with always on cloud connected. That means we can do things off board the airplane, or the airplane can send data to the cloud and we can access that from anywhere.
Jason Bialek showed me some of the capabilities of the Anthem flight deck in a bare room in the Las Vegas Convention Center. And while this sim looks like the cockpit of a high-end jet, this system can be scaled to smaller general aviation aircraft too.
We have several features that normally in the past were reserved for higher end jets. So we also focused on general aviation specific features, things like engine out guidance.
And the engine out function will automatically guide you to the nearest airport.
Okay, so immediately we have awareness as to where we can go. As more or different airports come into view, it's not distracting you to say, hey, think about going to this other one, which is what's happened on some of the recent accidents where the controllers have said, tried to be helpful, and then the pilot decided to go to that other one, and then the whole time they could have just simply stuck with the original decision and been okay. But the things that are nice about this feature are the visibility in the SVS of exactly where you can make it to. So as soon as we get turned here and you have the runway in sight, you'll be able to see, hey, our runway is well within that ring, and we've got the ring on the 2D. That takes into account terrain and wind.
So with the cloud connection, you can configure your cockpit displays on your iPad at home, for example, and everything will be set up when you step into the aircraft.
Just configured the cockpit. I could be 500 miles away. That's the benefit in cloud connected. I don't have to walk up to the cockpit with the iPad.
You can upload your flight plan right from your desk. Mission Manager can set up automatic notifications, such as sending the fuel order to the FBO before you land. Checklists can include auto sensing of gear and flaps. The big screens and the cloud connection gives you much more information. A dedicated secure browser allows you to access things in the air, like weather sites, for example, that previously were unavailable to you while you're flying. The 3D graphics give you exceptional situational awareness both in the air and on the ground.
It will show me where my destination is. You can already see that on the airport. And it matches. This is a really nice way of matching the clearance, so we can work together as a crew and say, yep, looks like we're good, Fox Gulf 5 cutter, and it gives you a lot more. Wherever you see the cyan dots, that just means that you didn't get that explicit clearance.
And Honeywell says the cloud connection is secure. Everything is authenticated and verified before it's sent to the aircraft.
We have multiple layers of security. We, as a company, have already been working cybersecurity and avionics for a number of years. This is with the FAA, EASA, and some of our most demanding customers. With the cloud-based infrastructure, combined with protections, both hardware and multiple layer certificates in our onboard data server, I can't say anything is impossible, but I can say it's not likely that we'll have anything come through to where it's visible to the pilot.
Honeywell expects the first installation of an Anthem flight deck in 2023. Test version is flying now on a Pilatus PC-12. The Lithium eVTOL will be among the launch customers. They say retrofits for existing aircraft should be available by 2025.
Okay, what's wrong with this picture? Look closely. Yep, the Wright Flyer is either flying backward or it's pushing the banner. Either way, it's violating the laws of aerodynamics. Ohio, the state I now call home, has long claimed to be the birthplace of aviation. The Wright brothers were from Dayton, after all. But the Ohio Bureau of Motor Vehicles maybe should stick to the ground-pounding themes. The prison printed some 35,000 plates before catching the mistake and correcting it. Ouch. Now, those plates will be recycled. Meanwhile, the North Carolina Department of Transportation had a sense of humor about it all. They tweeted, "Y'all leave Ohio alone. They wouldn't know. They weren't there." Now, North Carolina's plates naturally read "First in Flight."
Nothing like a jab. Coming up after the break, see the Jetson 1.
And fly along in a Stoll drag race at the High Sierra Fly-In. We'll be back in a moment.
The future of USB charging power has arrived. Introducing new ultra-fast charging TA360 USB chargers. Unlock the power of USB Power Delivery (PD) technology. Max power. Multiple configurations. In-seat, cabin, cockpit, and galley USB power. Easy to install. Backed by the best. True Blue Power, the USB experts.
Welcome back. The age of personal eVTOLs just might be near. The aptly named Jetson 1 just made its debut. The single-seat aircraft was designed by a Swedish company. It's built for fun more than transportation. It has 8 electric motors, flies up to 20 minutes at 63 miles an hour, has a joystick and built-in terrain and obstacle avoidance. Jetson will deliver 12 aircraft next year. It says full production after that. Jetson 1 will cost $92,000. Comes as a partially assembled kit. So, Alyssa, I don't know. That one could be interesting to play around with if you don't go very far off the ground, that's for sure.
Right. Maybe Jetson 2 or 3 will be a little bit more like the Jetsons I remember as a kid.
Yeah, and it folds up and fits in your briefcase. How nice.
Yeah.
And a much larger electric aircraft in development, a zero-emission hydrogen electric airliner developed by ZeroAvia and Alaska Airlines. The companies are working on a power plant to retrofit to a de Havilland Q400. They're calling it the ZA2000, and it will produce up to 5,000 kilowatts. The airliner is expected to have a 500-mile range. ZeroAvia successfully flew a hybrid electric power plant at Piper Malibu and recently ground tested a larger 600-kilowatt power plant.
Well, looking to find pilot friends or an airplane partner? There's an app for that. It's called Connecting Aviators. The app and social network aims to bring pilots together and get them flying. A map view makes it easy to search for new pilot connections or find flyouts. And any member can raise their hand and say they're going flying. The flight is added to the map and connections are sent in an invite to join the flight. Right now, the app is available for Apple iOS devices only, and you can find it in the App Store. Well, meanwhile, Sporty's Pilot Shop has a series of apps and online courses to help you learn to fly or add a rating. The flight training courses have video flight lessons, written test prep, and other learning resources. New for this year, the Sporty's courses have smart TV apps, audio training, and a CFI portal. They also now integrate with the AOPA Flight Training Advantage. That's AOPA's app that helps students and CFIs track flight training progress. You can find the courses on the Sporty's website.
Last week we took you to Dead Cow Lake Bed, home of the High Sierra Fly-In. The Stoll Drag World Championships are held there each year. This week we want to take a deep dive into the sport and show you what it's like from inside the airplane. AOPA Live's Paul Harrop has more.
Paul Harrop, Stoll Drag 2021. We're back celebrating aviation. Stoll Drag is part short takeoff and landing competition, part drag race. It's the main event at the High Sierra Fly-In, but it's now also at the Reno Air Races and coming soon to events around the country.
With the Rotax powered kickbox.
It is just as cool as it looks, but what is it? Simply 2 airplanes take off at a line. Kevin Quinn, the sports inventor, gives them a countdown. His signature 3, 2, 1, see ya! On the hand drop, they're off. They fly 2,000 feet down to another line. They land beyond the line. They come to a complete stop, on heading, with all wheels down. They turn around, take back off, and fly the reverse course. The first pilot to land beyond the start line, on heading, to a complete stop with wheels down, wins.
It's a clean race! Here we go! I can't believe it! It's a heartbreaker, or is it a backbreaker? It's Toby Ashley! Ladies and gentlemen, your world champion!
Now, you've got to stay in your lane and you've got to maintain altitude on the course. You'll get a time penalty for landing early, turning before you come to a complete stop, or straying outside the bounds. The best of the best do it in about 56 seconds. Steve Henry and Toby Ashley each have purpose-built Stoll Drag machines. They dominate the gold class. But Stoll Drag isn't only for the elites. It's welcoming to anyone in just about anything. Scott Jones brought his V-tail Bonanza and qualified.
The airplane's not built for this at all, so I just wanted to see if I could try and push myself in my skill set and see if I could actually fly it like that.
And you did?
Apparently I did okay.
He elected to not actually race the next day. Qualifying was his goal, and he met it. Others, though, wanted the
Do
win.
well today, my friend. See you out there. Good luck.
What goes through your mind just when you're going out here to race?
Not much, just how to fly the airplane. I gotta remember what those pedals do. And maybe the throttle.
Plan on, as a race pilot, about 10:30, getting over there, and we're gonna group you in your bronze group, silver group, and then the gold guys will come out and they'll be together. You guys can go out and practice for about 2 hours if you like.
I'm gonna head out and try to do some practice runs and see if I can improve my time over Reno. You gotta practice, I'm telling you, practice. You get rusty and even if I don't run the course, I'm gonna go out on the desert and practice my slips and just try to improve the skills, because at Reno you run in the morning. You get one run in the morning typically, and you wake up and you try to get ready, and you don't get practice. It's just go. So here it's nice and open and you can get a lot of practice runs in, so I'm gonna take advantage of that.
To call the bronze class the every pilot's class does a disservice to the skill of these pilots. Let's just say it's the class we could all reasonably aspire to.
All right, so this is for the first and second place on the bronze. And these guys, the Zenith and the 182, it's their first time racing, and one of them is going to be the champion in the bronze category. That is so awesome.
John Hakala takes the bronze class win in his Zenith 701. There's a lot that goes into making Stoll Drag happen. Countless volunteers, many of whom are locals for the Reno Air Races, come out to support the event. Brian Forsyth and Sarah Nisler came in to help keep track of the times.
So Sarah, what are you doing out here?
I'm recording times and telling everybody who wins.
It's kind of an important job.
No.
But it all comes down to time, speed,
93.6,
and skill. The classes equalize the hardware, but commanding control of the airplane through pretty much the entire speed envelope dictates the winner. On the Death Cow Lake bed, Paul Harrop, AOPA Live.
Anyone can compete in STOL Drag. A training course is required. Find out more at stoldrag.com. So, Alyssa, another one of those things like the Jetson 1 perhaps, where you don't want to be too far off the ground.
Right. Well, that's actually the goal, not too far off the ground. Right. You know, Tom, I had the chance to talk to Kevin Quinn earlier this year, and he talked about the 2-day course that you can take to try to qualify and compete in these STOL Drag events. And it's amazing. You can even do it in a 172. Right. And so he said, basically, we all leave our egos at the door. We're all here to become better pilots. And it looks like a great, safe thing, the way they're going about it.
It does look like that energy management thing is important on every flight, so a great way to perfect that and then also demonstrate it.
That's right. Well, that's all for our show this week. Thanks for watching.
And don't forget to like and subscribe on YouTube and leave us a comment with your thoughts or send us a note on the email address on your screen. We'll see you back here next week.
There are many important things to consider before purchasing an aircraft. Let the experts at Aerospace Reports help guide you through the process. We combine expert knowledge with our long-standing commitment to personalized customer service to perfect your transaction. Learn more at aerospacereports.com.